Just Sketching here, and welcome to my first tutorial-ish video, I guess. I'm recording this intro after the fact that I've recorded everything else for the video, and because I just realized that I didn't record an intro. But yeah, you might notice that throughout this video that I sound pretty nervous. I don't know, that's just a thing that happens when I record videos like this, like where I'm just talking and explaining things and not playing a game or not just doing a little snippet full of speed art. So yeah, that's a thing I have to get used to, but hope you guys enjoy the video anyways, learn something from it, and yeah. So as you can see, this is the final illustration. The final piece is all done and pretty. By the way, the reason she's wearing a Christmas hat is because I had originally planned on uploading and finishing this around Christmas time, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, so basically my illustrations are, or at least for me, I break them down into 4 sections, and this is the way I learned to do this is from watching other people do speed arts. And I always see that they have a basic breakdown of, they do a sketch, then they do the line art, add some colors, and then they shade it. So I took that basic breakdown and tried to find what was comfortable for me, which is basically what I'm about to show you right now. So let me just make these invisible real quick. I don't know what the proper term for that is, but I'm just gonna say make these invisible. And as you can see here, I named all of these folders and layers too, but usually I don't, but I wanted to make it easier for you guys to see what's going on, so I named them. Usually it would just be layer 10 or layer 100, blah blah blah. I'm not really that organized when it comes to naming layers because I don't name them at all anyways. So as you can see, I had this in a low opacity. This is why it's light. So this is the sketch that turned into that beautiful piece you saw earlier. If we open up this folder, we can see that at first I had the sketch broken down into just simple lines and boxes of what I wanted the pose to be. So I'll go in more into depth about each section later on in this video, but I just wanted to show you guys the basic layout of my illustrations. So I had basic shapes and then turned into that, and now what I do after I sketch it is lower the opacity and we go to the line art, which is right here. So that's the second part of when I'm doing my illustrations. It goes, I do the lining, make it all basically clean up the sketch, if you want to say that, and then afterwards I do the coloring and shading. Now, as I said before, you'll see more in depth of each section later on in this video. And after the coloring and shading, I may add some highlights depending on the illustration, and then what I like to do is color the line art basically to make it kind of seem more of like a painting, more of a painting style where people kind of just do the whole illustration in one layer instead of having like a line art and all this other hoo-ha, I guess you could say. And then to top it off, I add details to make it look even better. And that's the basic laydown of my illustrations. Of course, there's the background too. For this one, I decided to keep a simple background. I didn't want to get too intricate with it. But yeah, that is the basic breakdown of my illustrations. Now let's go more in depth, starting with the sketch. Okay, so I pretty much always start off with a sketch when I'm doing my illustrations. And usually what I do is I lay down a few basic shapes depending on what I'm drawing, and since this is a Minecraft style drawing, I'm using a lot of squares and rectangles, and basically I just use that to get a feel for the pose I'm going for, and if I'm drawing a background, usually for the kind of environment I'm going for. But since this is just a simple one character pose illustration, I'm just getting the pose of the character down. And you can see that I had a lot of problems with the arms because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then eventually I just decided, hey, she's gonna be cuddling a blanket, and usually that's part of the sketch process, so you can get a feel for what you want the drawing to be, and it makes it easier when it comes to lining and coloring and all that. Okay, now that we got the sketch done and we know what we're going to be drawing, it's time to basically clean it up, which is what the lining process is. And usually and you could tell that I didn't care about how like neat and all the details that would be going into the drawing when I was sketching it, and that's because I saved all that for when I'm doing the line art. And all those basic like extra details that makes your drawing like even better, and people go, oh wow, they paid close attention to this certain part and blah blah blah. I usually save that for when I'm lining, and you might be able to tell that from the footage you see. I don't know if I really did that for this drawing since it was a very simple one, but usually for my drawings I end up doing that. And basically, as you can tell, the lining process is just basically going over and cleaning up your sketch, and that's it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And yeah, alright, so now that we got the beautiful and clean lines laid out, I'm going to be adding the flat colors. And as you can see, I changed the background color of the canvas because I don't really like working with a pure white canvas. You know, I just thought I'd throw that in there for those of you who might have been wondering that. Alright, now it's time for the fun part, which is the shading. And in this part, I'm going to be talking about how I shade, obviously. And I'm also going to be answering a few questions that I see get asked a lot, not only to myself, but to other artists as well. And yeah, so with shading, I usually start off with the shadows. And then by doing that, I basically go to the flat color that I'm going to be shading. I make a new layer on top of that, then I clip that new layer to the flat color that I'm going to be shading. And you can see that, and I'm gonna try and zoom in on the layers part of the footage so that you can get see that better. But yeah, basically I do that, and then I go and use, usually I do not, okay, one thing that you guys need to know is do not use black and white to add shadows and highlights to your drawing. That's one thing I've learned, and it ends up not looking as well as it would if you were to use like different colors such as, you know, purple, orange, green, depending on what you're drawing. And of course, if you're doing like a, I guess monotone, I hope that's the right word. Basically, if you're doing a black and white drawing, obviously you're gonna use black and white to shade and add highlights. But you know, when it comes to actually doing colors and rendering, which is what the process of shading and finishing a drawing is called, it's best to use other colors besides black and white, which is why you can see me using purple and a very dark purple a lot when it comes to everything else besides the skin and the eyes. So basically, yes, I add the new layer and I clip it to the flat color that I'm shading, and then I set that layer that I clipped to it to multiply, which basically what that does is, let's say I was using the purple on the hair, right? So instead of it just looking very purplish, it would take more of the color of what the hair color is, the flat color of the hair. So the color of the hair is brown, so basically it would take more of a brownness. Hopefully I explained that right. I don't know the actual definition of what the multiply layer does, but in my eyes, that's the way I see it, how it does it. And basically I use that layer to basically add the shadows, basic shadows of it, and then I repeat that process again and again until I like the way it turns out, and you're gonna see that perfectly clear in the footage, hopefully. And after I add the multiply layer, I usually go in and add some highlights by using, in Manga Studio I use the add, yeah, I think it's just straight up called add. I use that a lot, and sometimes I use overlay too, depending on what else I'm highlighting. But that's the very simple breakdown of how I shade. It's not really that complicated. And of course, I use different brushes, such as I like to use the watercolor brushes a lot when I'm doing hair and adding the shadows of everything else, because it has a nice soft touch to it. And one tool that I really use a lot too is the blending tools, and I jump between the fabric one and then the blending one and then the blur one. Those are the three main blending tools that I use in Manga Studio a lot to get the texture. I guess I need to get better at adding texture to my drawings, but so far those are the three tools I use to kind of add texture to them. And yeah, that's the basic rundown of how I shade, and if you want to see exactly how I shade in the sense of where I put the shadows and what I highlight, and then you could just look at the footage for that one. There's no really way for me to actually like explain it in words. But yeah, now to get to the questions that I see get asked a lot. So let's start off with the most common one. What do you use to draw? I use, as you can see, Manga Studio, and I have a drawing tablet, the Wacom Bamboo Splash. I'm not sure if they make these anymore, but you could go on Wacom's website and see what other tablets they have to offer. Now, when it comes to what program you use, or what you use to draw and all of that, you don't need fancy equipment to be good at art. You could just have a simple pencil and paper, and you could be one of the world's best artists. Now, I always see people going, "Oh man, I wish I had a tablet, or I wish I had this program so I could draw." And I always like try and tell them, depending if they're saying that to me or whatever, just tell them, hey, you could do art with anything, like literally anything. I've seen people draw with their feet, and it comes out amazing. I've seen people use spray paint and like a tin can. It's crazy all the things you can see on the internet when it comes to art. But yeah, you don't need like a fancy tablet or a fancy computer or a fancy program to do art. You could just bust out a simple pencil and paper or whatever you have laying around, as long as you could make marks and put your creativity on some kind of canvas, then yeah, you can do it. So remember, guys, you don't need fancy things to do awesome artwork. Now another question I get is, how long have I been drawing? So far it's been about 2 years since I've started doing digital art. And of course, I've been drawing basically my whole life though. Like I started drawing in, I think, around elementary, who knows, kindergarten. Of course, that's everyone though. Everyone usually has an art class in school and they draw and stuff. But I didn't really start getting like really serious and really into art until I was about in middle school, and then 2 years ago is when I started digital art and doing Minecraft drawings, and now I'm here. And let's see, another thing I see that gets asked a lot is how do I get better at drawing? And that is a very simple answer to that one. Draw. That's it. That's how you get better. You get better by drawing. Try and draw every day if you can. If not, then just try and draw as much as you can. And that's literally how I've gotten better ever since I started doing digital the digital illustrations 2 years ago. I literally tried and draw as much as I can. Of course, I wasn't able to do it every day because of school and life and all that, but I tried to do it as much as I can. And I always set a goal for myself to make my last artwork, like my bad, to make my newest artwork better than my last one. So I'm always trying to be, I guess, better than myself in such a sense. And yeah, I'm just striving to get better, learn new techniques. And another way to on how to get better is just go look at some artwork, go look at what other people are drawing, how they're doing things, what they use and all that. Even though what they use may not be like super important, but of course you might see someone using watercolors and you're like, oh, that looks cool, I'm gonna try it out, and then boom, you love using watercolors. So it's always a sense of experimenting and just drawing every day and getting out of your comfort zones. And because, like, let's say you didn't really like drawing you like drawing animals a lot, but you don't like drawing people. Try and get out of that comfort zone of just drawing animals and try and draw anything you see, like people, cars and all that. I know I still need to start drawing more things besides people and Minecraft characters, but yeah, I have a long way to go. I'm still learning, obviously. It's only been 2 years since I started doing the digital illustration, and I'm pretty much learning new things every day from such amazing artists that I follow and that I'm friends with. And I recommend just going and looking at different artworks and just doing some research about art in general. It's really fun if you want to really get into it. Just do some research. And I know I'm taking an art appreciation class in my campus because I have to, but I'm actually learning quite a lot from it, and I'm kind of getting inspired to do different types of artworks, more artsy artworks, I guess, that has like not really a meaning, but that when you look at it, it kind of makes you question things and wonder, which is what I really like about art. It's such a great way of communication and expressing yourself, which is really why I got into it. And yeah. Oh wait, I almost forgot one very important thing when it comes to art, and make sure you have fun. Like, and that's not just with art, but that's with anything you do. Make sure you're having fun doing it. Like, I just sometimes I see people forgetting that part when it comes to artwork, and they just focused on, oh, I need to get this good, this artist is so good, and I'm not on that skill level and all that stuff. And sometimes I see that they're forgetting to just have fun with it. Like, it doesn't matter if your artwork isn't as quote unquote good as somebody else's. And of course, there's a lot of things that play into it, natural talent, experience, and all that. So I don't really see the use of comparing myself to another artist and being sad about it. And you should really just use it as inspiration. Be like, yo, I'm gonna surpass that person. Who knows, whatever. But just make sure you're having fun with it. Make sure that it's putting a smile on your face. That's the reason you should be doing something. It's not just, oh, so I could get money or so I could be better than this person. No, it's so that you could put a smile on your own face. And if you want, also put a smile on other people's faces. That's one thing I love about doing art also, is that it makes people happy. And not only that, it's making myself happy. Like, I love drawing so much, and it's one of the few things in life that just really picks me up, along with skateboarding and music and my friends and family. And art it just makes me really happy when I do it, and that's the reason I do it. Not so that I can make money, so that I become popular. It's because I love doing it. And yeah, just remember, have fun with it, guys. And now for basically the last part of what I do for an illustration is coloring the line layer, and then adding a few more details on top of that on a basically a new layer on top of everything else. So basically, I go to the line layer, I add a new layer on top of that, and I clip that new layer to the line layer, and I go over and I color it. That's pretty simple. I color the line layer corresponding to the color that's next to it. So for the hair, I do the same color as the hair, and make it look like basically I make the line art blend into the whole thing and make it look like a painting, sort of. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And then after that, I go over on a completely new layer, and I don't clip that layer to anything, and I just basically add more details to the hair to give it more, like, so you can see like the strands of hair and all that. And then as you can see on the hat, or as you're going to see, I don't know how early on this audio is going to be compared to the footage, but I'm going to be adding like the fluffy parts of the Santa hat. And yeah, that's basically what I do to add, the hair details and the fluffy details that you guys have may have seen from my previous speed arts. And that's basically it, guys. Thank you for watching this tutorial slash tips. It's not really a tutorial, as I think I mentioned in the beginning of this video. I don't even remember. I'm so bad at this. But yeah, I'm not going to be really giving like straight on tutorials and this is how you should do things and blah blah blah. I'm just going to basically show you guys the way I do things, and if you want to take from that and add it on to the way you do things, and yeah, that would be awesome. Don't copy me verbatim. Just use different techniques and stuff that I use, and come up with your own creative and awesome art, and be better than I am. But yeah, this was nice to do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of you asked for it, and I'm sorry if this was a really bad tutorial. I'm still new at this, and I'm still new to digital illustrations. As I mentioned before, it's only been 2 years, so I'm also learning lots of things. And I feel like that's the thing with art, is you never reach a point where it's like, okay, I am a master at art. It's kind of just like, I've seen like other amazing artists say this too, is that no matter what level you're on, there's always something to learn, and you gotta remember that. But yeah, thank you for watching again. Like the video if you enjoyed it. If you want to see oh yeah, also leave in the comments on what else you want me to make a tutorial slash tips on. And this one was just a basic overview of how I do my drawings, and if you guys want me to go into more detail on a specific part, like how I do hair for the ladies I draw, or how I do poses and blah blah blah, then just leave in comment on what else you want to see for this series. And that's it. Much love, and I'll see you guys later.